This is important. Elon has recently tweeted that Giga Texas is a 10 billion plus investment over time, generating at least 20,000 direct and 100,000 indirect jobs. $10 billion invested into Giga Texas. Is that a lot, you might think? Well, perhaps it cost $5 billion to get to this stage, then that would mean that it would become twice the size. Yes, probably something like that. If it cost $5 billion to build, which by judging by the size wouldn't be that hard to believe. Except apparently, according to public findings, Tesla will spend at least $1.06 billion on a new vehicle factory in Austin, Texas. Filings submitted to the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation on Friday outlined Tesla's spending on various manufacturing capabilities of its Austin factory. The company said it plans to complete construction of its general assembly, paint, casting, stamping, and body shop facilities by December the 31st. The 5 facilities would have a combined square footage of nearly 4.3 million and cost combined $1.06 billion, according to the filings. Whoa. Okay, there is a lot to digest here. What we have just discovered is incredible on several fronts. Let's start by trying to get our heads around how Tesla managed to build Texas for only $1 billion. Now, looking at the financials and going back to the end of 2018, when Tesla started building Giga Shanghai, the capital they've spent on everything is actually only about $7.5 billion. Wow, unbelievable. That is a tiny amount, not only relative to the value of the company, but also relative to what Tesla has achieved. And then look how much all the legacy autos are investing. 5 times that or even more to achieve about perhaps twice what Tesla had just with Giga Nevada when they started building that back in as early as 2014. Yes, legacy autos are a long way behind, so it is highly possible that Tesla have managed to build Texas for about $1 billion. It is outstanding how well Tesla spend the money they have and what they get for it, but it has not been worth ramping up and throwing money at things yet. There are bottlenecks, the major bottleneck being there are no EV batteries. No batteries solely designed for EVs from the ground up using first principles design. No battery or battery production that could make batteries fast enough for the sheer volume of cars that are required. No battery that had enough energy density for the outrageous Cybertruck or incredibly commercially viable semi-truck. No battery without a tab that slows down production. No battery that could offer long range without using cobalt. And Tesla didn't have a battery that made production at parity with ICE vehicles. This product was important. They had to get it right. Not just the battery itself, but the entire production process, from the mines to the end product. Also making batteries in a way that is best for the environment too. This has taken Tesla a long time, and some very painful processes, excruciatingly, from the people who are the best at this on the entire planet. The pain, probably literal blood, sweat, and tears that went into this, with the biggest mission from any company ever. This cannot be bought. You cannot throw money at opportunities like this, yet this is what the competition are trying to do. Invent a better battery and I will give you millions of dollars. Money is a limiting motivating factor. You cannot force innovation. They tried even stronger incentives in the USSR. Invent better and you can keep your life. It didn't work either. You can't beat passion. Anyway, my point is that you can't buy innovation. It comes from things like your heart, passion, curiosity, and excitement. And as we've seen, no one is close, nowhere near to out-innovating Tesla. Alright, okay, we all know what I think of Tesla, so back to my point. There was no point in Tesla ramping up production until they could produce enough batteries. There's simply not enough batteries in the world. Their best option otherwise was depending on CATL, but then Tesla wouldn't be able to offer enough cars with a sufficient enough range, something the Chinese are going to struggle with their LFP batteries, and likely the reason that legacy autos are mainly going for nickel batteries. The Chinese may be great at manufacturing, but the legacy autos are great at marketing. Marketing research is a huge factor for them. They know their customers. They know they need cars with 300 miles of range, as does Tesla. Hence why Tesla are making so much effort with the 4680 batteries, as they will offer such decent range. But it takes a long time to get nickel battery factories going and ramped up, which means in the meantime, the Chinese can move a lot faster with their LFP batteries and get into certain market. They've been given this head start. Of course, Tesla is so smart, they get the best of both worlds. Seriously, back to the point here. Tesla has had a major bottleneck. Batteries, not enough of them, and not the right ones. We've been waiting for this the whole time, and Tesla has planned it all perfectly. which is not a coincidence. By about the time Tesla ramp up their battery production, then they will also have wrapped up their vehicle production to coincide with these new factories they've built. Okay, anyway, Giga Texas is enormous. And remember, it also has 3 floors. Get it? Elon plays 3D chess, whilst everyone else is playing checkers. The factories are built in 3D chess mode. But if this fab in Austin only cost $1 billion, and Elon is now saying they will spend over $10 billion on Texas alone, then what? I mean, people say that Texas will have the capacity of possibly 4 million as it is now, but even if it was just 2 million, then what's going to happen when you spend 10 times the capital on this site? Okay, perhaps we don't know entirely how much of this includes the likes of machinery, but it's still indicative to what will become of the Austin site. And all this expansion won't likely just be spent on vehicle production. There may end up being more vertical integration on site, perhaps a steel mill, perhaps making stainless steel for the Cybertrucks, similar to what Henry Ford was doing. Also, as more of Tesla's products come into fruition, then Tesla will use these in-house for themselves too, like transportation with semi-trucks, not to mention the autonomy side of vehicles, and of course perhaps eventually robot labor. Tesla's own products will reduce Tesla's costs and increase their margins. What else might we expect on this site? We could see the LFP production lines there too, and before you all comment that LFP is a chemistry and 4680 is the size of the cylindrical form factor, Elon has said they are not going with the 4680 size with LFP. There may even be 2 different LFP sizes, but whenever I differentiate the two, I get so many comments about LFP being 4680, I thought I'd just explain that first. I think it highly likely that LFP production will be there, likely in a new fab that could be enormous, as Tesla have a lot of batteries to make, and about 10 times as many LFP batteries as 4680 nickel batteries. There is also a massive demand for megapacks and Powerwalls. If Tesla are manufacturing enough LFP batteries on this site, then surely they'll add more manufacturing facilities for the energy storage too. I think the one in California to make the megapacks was really just for using CATL's LFP batteries. We might see new ones for Tesla's in-house megapacks and Powerwalls, and it's much more efficient to make them on-site where the batteries are also produced. It becomes more expensive and more difficult having to transport batteries places. They're obviously heavy, and it's a lot of batteries to transport. This is actually something I haven't heard people talk about too much, and how much cost Tesla are about to save on the new factories not having to transport batteries anymore. Fremont's 2170 batteries come from Nevada, and the LFP batteries come from China, and the 18650 batteries are coming from Japan. In Shanghai, the nickel batteries are coming from Korea. This will be a massive cost saving. Tesla look to source as many materials for their cars as locally as possible. This saves a lot of money and makes things easier and more efficient too. Just-in-time delivery is one thing, but just-in-time manufacturing is another level again. But like I said, imagine when Tesla also used their autonomous semi-trucks for logistics too. There are still so many cost savings left with this company, despite how low cost they are already compared to the rest of the industry. And again, like I said, this creates a virtuous circle. The more costs Tesla save, the more profits they make. The more they can reinvest into the company to save even more cost, etc., etc., etc. And then remember, no other BEV business is making a net profit. Anyway, 10 times as much being spent on Texas. We can only imagine what this will mean. We don't know where it will occur, over what period of time, but my guess is they simply will not stop building. As soon as Giga Austin opens, then they'll simply use the same construction team and resources to build the next phase and not stop. No new factories announced because Tesla don't need any new factories. That's the secret. A factory on every continent. The only continents left are South America and Africa, where the population spends the least on cars in the world. Okay, there's Australia too, but China will serve as a hub for that, and it's not an overly large market. In the scheme of things, perhaps they could build smaller factories to serve that market, and possibly use these miniature factories in Japan or UK too, big markets on island nations. But yeah, we hear there is no new factory going to be announced for a while, but what Elon is really saying is no new location for a while, and that in reality, Tesla are just going to keep building out their existing factories. But for Texas to become potentially 10 times what it is today, well, I get the feeling that Tesla might be big. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.